Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I have never been to Cincinnati, but I hope to go one day. And I hope to, I can't wait for this to be over so we can actually meet in person and um, you know, I don't know, create. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a few things. We're going to do a workshop. It'll be hands-on. I hope everybody is willing to participate. I like to say up front that we will be sharing some things, and I hope that's okay with everyone. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. So really happy to be here with you. And I am, if you see me looking over here, it's because I have two screens. So I'm gonna try and move things over and share my screen with you so we can get started. So I will say that I like to, can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I like to use Google Slides, and I'll tell you why. So if everyone can see my screen, oh, where'd it go? At the bottom here, there's a CC, and these allows for closed captioning to be added. It is not perfect. Um, a lot of people say, closed captions, they call them craptions because they can sometimes be crappy, but hopefully these will be working well. So um, I am author of Inclusive Design for a
Yes, can you
Digital
hear me?
World. I'm sorry? Oh. Um, I am author of Inclusive Design for Digital World, and I'm also currently a industry assistant professor at New York University in the Tandon School of Engineering, and I teach user experience design, and I also teach assistive technology, specifically courses that are teaching students about the assistive technologies that blind and low vision folks use. So I first want to talk about the difference between accessibility and inclusion. They're two different areas. This is from topol.com. Accessible design focuses on the outcome or end result of a project. Inclusive design is closely related to accessibility, but rather than an outcome, it's methodology for how to approach design. It's process for creating a design that can be used by a diverse group of people. So this is from George Washington University. They say inclusion is active, intentional, and ongoing engagement with diversity in people, in the curriculum, in the co-curriculum, and in communities. For example, intellectual, social, cultural, geographic, which individuals might connect. So 1 in 4 people in the United States has a disability. And in the year 2035, which is 15 years from now, there will be more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 65. So here I have an illustration that I like a lot that is inclusion and equality. So there is a scene here where it's a baseball game. There's a pitcher on the mound, there's someone up to bat, and there's a crowd. There are three kids, I'm assuming they're kids, that are standing, and there's a fence in front of them in the front, and it says equality. Each one, there's a tall one, a middle height, and a shorter one. And each one is standing on a box. And they can see over the fence, they can see through the fence. In the next illustration, the person who's the tallest can see over the fence, and one person is with a box, and the small person has two boxes, and they can all see over the fence. And that is equity. And then the third illustration, the fence is completely removed, and this is liberation. So when we think about inclusion and when we think about equality, it's removing the barriers, it's removing friction from our day-to-day life. So I have a question for everyone. old is old? Now, this is where I want you to think about a number. And maybe you could put it in the chat, and maybe someone can help me with what's going on in the chat. I'm not sure, but maybe somebody could start reading the numbers. But give me an age, like a number. What do you think? How old is old? Curious to know your opinions.
They're coming in fast. Looks
They're
like we have
fast.
80, 75, 96, 90, 75, 90, 63, 85, 70, 72, 80, 99, 75, 48, 80, 50 plus, and 90.
Okay.
And we have one for unable to function independently.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Thank you all for your input. So according to a 1,000 person survey completed by London's Design Museum in conjunction with the pop-up installation New Old, old means 73. So the Face app, this is another game we'll play, and I'll do my best to describe what is on the screen. So I have here the Face app. Does anybody remember this? The Face app. It was an app that it would scan your face and it would make you look older. And it became very popular until people found out it had major privacy issues. So this is a little guess the celebrity. So if you're good at celebrities, then you'll probably know who some of these people are. So this is a person who's wearing glasses, who has kind of a gray beard, and they have on a sport coat and a necklace. Any ideas? Anyone? I'll take them in the chat if anybody can read them off.
LeBron.
LeBron is correct. That is correct. Okay. What about these three people? There are three people standing side by side, all wearing different colored sweaters. I think they're musicians.
We have Jonas Brothers from a few people.
Oh, you got the Joe Bros. Yes, that is correct. What about this person had a huge hit song? I think they did it alongside Billy Ray Cyrus. And it was on the charts for a very long time.
We had Lil Nas.
Yes, that is correct. This person is a basketball player. They play for the Golden State Warriors. Any guesses?
Steph Curry.
That is correct, Steph Curry. What about these two? There was a very popular show in the early 2000s, Jersey Shore. Any idea of who these two people could be?
Snooki Zhao. Snooki Zhao. I'm not pronouncing it right.
Oh yeah, Jay Wow. Yeah. How about these two? Now I know one, but not the other. But the one is the other person's spouse. The other one won American Idol.
Carrie Underwood.
That is correct. That is Carrie Underwood and her husband. And this last one is a very popular rapper from Canada.
Drake. We have quite a few people.
That is correct. So, when it comes to aging and, all these celebrities used the Face app, why do you think that they used it? Why is it, why do we use something like this? Any ideas?
You have to see how they will look when they are old.
Yeah. Yeah. So Margaret Morris, who wrote a book about aging, said that aging is daunting and there's a lot of fear and anxiety about what the future holds in terms of how will I look, how will I feel, and how will I be perceived by others. Frankly, I think we think this our whole lives. Like, how will I look? How will I feel? How will I be perceived by others? Even being on Zoom, I mean, people have gone and gotten, I have a light now because I'm in a dark room. And, you know, people, I have a background, a Zoom background because the background behind me isn't not one that I want anyone to see. But, you know, how will we be perceived by others is something we really think about our whole lives. So what I'm going to ask you to do next is to write some things that happen as you age. But what you're going to do, and I'm going to escape out of here, is you're going to do it in a thing called a jam board. So this is a jam board. And for those who have not used a jam board before, I'm just going to walk us through it. So here on the left hand, there is a navigation. There's a pen, so you can write something. Here underneath the pen is an eraser, so you can erase. You can select, so if you had things here, you could actually select them. They have post-it note, like a sticky note option, so you could put a post-it note here. You could also add an image. This is from Google, so you could drag some image from Google search if you so chose. And here is shapes. So you can add different shapes. And if you want to add text, you can do text. And this bottom is just a laser pointer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into small groups. And you all are going to write some things, or however you want to put it in here, some things that happen as you age. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this link, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. I'm going to put this link in the chat for everyone. And I just want to make sure everyone can access it. So if you all can click on that, and I just want to make sure everyone can access. Now, when you go on, there's one Jamboard. So what we'll do is we're going to go into small breakout rooms. And according to your breakout room number, so if you're breakout room 1, you're on the first page. If you're breakout room 2, you're on the second page. Breakout room 3 on the third page, etc. So we're going to do little small groups, and you all are going to write or draw or whatever, some things that happen as you age. We're going to spend about 5 minutes doing this, and we'll do small groups of 3 to 4. Everyone, I think everyone is back. How did that go?
Good.
Good. Could we get someone from maybe group 1 to share maybe a few of the things? Anybody from the first group?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you got here?
We have multiple things.
So maybe give us 3.
3. Okay. So we did like a change financially, so either better off or could be financially challenged. Decreases in physical health, so decrease in mobility, cognitive decline, becoming forgetful. And then stuff that's more social related, like busy with extended family, isolated, and focusing on what they want to get out of their lives.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, wisdom was a big one.
Wisdom was a big one. Yeah, the interesting
Wisdom
thing
that we don't tolerate bullshit anymore.
Yeah, the interesting thing that somebody I see on this put better off financially and hopefully is
Yeah, I did.
You can plan for everything. So, quick story, I had gone to Arizona to visit my brother last year, and I'd gotten like a Mercedes-Benz SUV, and I was like, this is a fancy, this is a fancy Uber, right? And the man picked me up and we started talking, and he said, I retired and I used to be CEO of this company. I did really well. I, bought my house, everything's paid for. And he said, my wife got sick with this rare cancer. And he's like, my wife is everything to me. And so we did treatments that weren't paid for by the insurance. And because of
Wow.
that, I got into debt over $1 million. And that's why I am driving an Uber now. Even though I retired, I planned for everything. It made me think, wow, even when you plan for everything, things can shift and change. So yeah, but I do like Agnes, the wise, because that is a positive, getting wiser. We hope.
No, that's a given.
Yeah. The second group, what do you have? Give us maybe 3 things.
Hi,
Hey.
I'm Cassie. So we put a few things on our board, and 3 of them would probably be technical difficulties. So that definitely happens. I know for my father, he's in that older range. That's definitely a big one. Memory loss and dexterity issues. That's definitely, those are definitely some of the big ones, and for accessibility, those are big.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Third group. I just saw a sticky that said tired, and immediately I was like feeling it already. Please, third group, what do you have?
Yeah, this is Doug. I wrote tired because I'm tired, but reading glasses, like weak sight, gray hair, wrinkles, body shakes, things like that. So memory loss. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Group 4. Anybody from group 4?
I'll go. So group 4 pretty much mirrored what group 1 had. We had better financially, hopefully, and financially challenged. You're either super busy with your family or you're isolated, health issues. I can't remember. Can I see what I did? What we were doing? Oh yes, here it is. You're more focused on what you want to get out of your lives, and strangely less career focused plans, more on good living. Unfortunately, I'm still focused on career plans. Not that I'm aging, but
Yeah, I see somebody put might feel lonely, and this made me think. So this past semester, my students worked with a nonprofit organization out of Seattle called Home Again VR, which is Home Again virtual reality. And it would be a 2-sided virtual reality that you could actually, VR you can do with a headset, or you can do via your computer, like for 360. And the volunteer would work with an elderly person, and they would go on tours. So like the elderly person would say, I want to go to Tokyo, and their tour guide virtually would take them on these tours and develop these relationships. And they focused on making life less lonely, which I think is such a cool thing. And they also have branched into working with children in children's hospitals as well. So there is hope for the future with that. Okay, group 5.
Hey, some ones we put that we haven't heard yet are we might start to deal with more loss. The flip side is you might gain more perspective on what's important, more decisive. But let's see. you might start playing less with technology and use fewer apps and things like that.
Okay, thank you. And group 6.
I can present for group 6.
Yeah.
So ours was pretty similar to what the other group said. So we had, I mean, loss in like overall abilities, like vision, hearing, memory. But something interesting that, I mean, that was pretty unique about ours was we also split it into like, I mean, we had like a community focus talking about you start to lose friends, and yeah, isolation also happens.
Okay. Well, thank you all for sharing, because I think it's important to think about these things, and you know, what does life look like for us? What does life look like for us at age 73? So I am going to share with you a link to a persona. And what we're going to do next is we're going to spend the next probably about 7 minutes. And I just want to make sure everyone can get into that persona. And what I want you to do is make a copy of that persona. And on this, can everybody get in? Everybody in? Great. So what I want you to do is to think about you, yourself at age 73. So maybe you find a cool image somewhere because, you know, you might be wanting to have that, but you'll put a quote. Your age is 73. What year do you turn 73? You'll put it in there. Your profession, maybe you're retired. Your biography, what's your life look like to that point? What are your interests, your goals, your likes? What's your daily routine? What's your motivation? What's your dislike? So what I am going to do is I'm going to play a little music because I do this, but if anybody hates it, I will turn it off. But it's a little, my students introduced me to it. It's called lo-fi hip hop music, and it's beats to relax and study. So we are going to spend the next 7 minutes thinking about our future selves. And what are we, you know, are we still living in the same place? So I'll leave you to it. So make a copy. Are we good? One more minute. Yeah, one more. We're good? Okay. So how was that activity? Anyone?
It definitely makes you think.
Hard. Cassie, go ahead.
It definitely makes you think about, you know, where you see yourself and how you want to project yourself at that age. It's you know, for me, you know, I'm still a while off from that, so it's kind of like, where do I hope to be at? That's a big question. That's big.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Christina. It was interesting because I actually had this talk with my best friend the other day, and we were, you know, half planning, half just fantasizing what it's going to be like. And I said fantasizing because I'm kind of a person who likes to live in the moment, and I think I will still be the same. I'll probably take advantage of, you know, getting old, you know, having more time in my life just to do things that, you know, that I wanted to do. And I wrote in my likes saying running around the independent living facility with best friends being mischievous. So I think I'd like to be surrounded by people whether they're close to me or not. But doing something, you know, like a child, you know, going back to the childhood.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else care to share? It's okay if you don't. So I hope that you know, this is.
Can I have a quick question?
Oh, sure, Agnes.
Everybody assume that they are gonna be still alive?
Well, that's an interesting, that's a good question. So I've done this workshop before where people have told me that their parents didn't live to this age and they didn't know if they would. Full disclosure, both of my parents died in their 60s. My mom was 62, my dad was 68. No one really makes it out of their 60s in my family, which is a little bit worrying. Although I have an 87-year-old aunt who I take after. And up until pre-pandemic, she was still working. She's a retired nun, so she was working in hospice. And I think I'll probably be doing the same. So I know that for some people, you know, the thought of making it to that age is not a possibility, but for some people, we just don't know, right? We never know, but we hope we can make it there.
It just seems to me, looking through the slides, that most people are very optimistic, not just, you know, making it, but like what they're gonna do and what their life motto is gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have, you know, when we look at who, what, regardless of your political beliefs or whatever, everybody running for president was in their 70s. You know,
Good point.
flying all across the country. So it's possible. It's totally possible. So I am going to share my slides and give you a little bit background as to what made me come up with this workshop. And so let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. So Don Norman, who is the author of The Design of Everyday Things, at age 83 wrote an article saying that we do, that he said basically, I wrote the book on design. The Design of Everyday Things is the design book. And he said, I wrote the book on design and I did a disservice because I never thought about designing for my older self. So a few of the things he said in the article, he said, everyday household goods require knives and pliers to open. Containers with screw tops require more strength than my wife or I can muster. We solve this by using a plumber's wrench to turn the caps. Companies insist on printing critical instructions in tiny fonts with very low contrast. Labels cannot be read without flashlights and magnifying lenses. And when companies do design things specifically for the elderly, they tend to be ugly devices that shout out to the world, I'm old and can't function. We can do better. All of us are designers in our own ways, in our own lives. Everybody has done something in their home to do some modification to make something work. Something in your car, potentially, something in your, you know, your office space. So we can do better. I was listening to a talk this morning. An accessibility advocate named Claudio was saying that, you know, when it comes to devices that are for the disabled, they tend to be ugly. They're made in ugly ways. He's like, when was the last time you saw a really stylish walker? And I had to think, I was like, I've never seen a stylish walker. And last year I injured myself and I had to walk around the city with a cane, and they were all ugly, honestly. I went to like CVS to get a cane and I was like, none of these are attractive. Um, and so it's true. A lot of these things are not like, why aren't we making these things stylish? Like, I want to look good. I want to look fly with whatever I have. So what does life look like for us? So let's look at some areas where we could possibly incorporate inclusive design, mobility, community, working, and living. So designing for an aging population no longer means only thinking about safety and care in the home. Now, older people need design solutions to help them participate in the workforce, get around town, and convince a youth-centered society that they still have a lot to offer. So my question for you all is, how might we make stylish and useful products for one of these areas: mobility, community, living, and working? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we are going to go into breakout rooms, I think of 4. And you all are going to come up with some sort of idea of how might we make stylish and useful products. Maybe you'll come up with a product idea for mobility. Maybe you'll come up with something for community. Maybe you'll come up with something for living, something in the home, or maybe you'll think about working. I personally still will be working at 73. I'm not going to stop. Until the wheels fall off, I'm going to keep going. So I am going to give you all a link to another Jamboard for your future self ideas, because things don't have to be the way they are. We get to create the future, right? And it starts today. It starts now. So I just want to make sure everyone can access the Jamboard. And similar to what we did before, and I'll just put the question in the chat. Similar to what we did before, we are going to go into breakout rooms, but this time we're going to do it a little bit longer. We're going to do about 20 minutes. And so I want you to think, and you all can, pull images from Google search, but think about this. So you all will get into your groups. You're going to share what you feel comfortable sharing from your personas about, maybe you do a day in the life, right? And then you want to focus on one area. So it could be mobility. How are people getting around? It could be community. A lot of you said that people might be lonely as in the future. So what could that look like? Living, what does the home look like? Or work, what does a workplace look like? So your group will decide together what you want to do. Any questions before we get started? No? Okay.
Is there a budget?
You have an endless budget.
Ooh. Awesome.
We're getting some of that Jeff Bezos money. So your budget is infinite.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions? Okay, cool. So we're going to do groups of 4, I think is good.
I just have a question. How many groups felt like they just saved the world?
I missed that, Agnes. What was your question?
Oh, I'm just wondering how many groups felt at the end of the 20th minute that they saved the world and have a plan?
Oh, that's a question for everyone. I'm not sure. We'll see, because people are going to present what they did. So can we start with the group 1?
We started last time.
Yeah.
Because we ended up in group 1 again.
Okay, so Do you want to
Let's
start
do-
with, can we start with group 6 then? How about that? Who was in group 6?
I was in group 6.
Oh, you were in group 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Do we want to share the screen? I can share mine and you could just walk us through.
Sure. They're in no particular order.
Okay. So everybody can see group 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had some inspiration from one of our teammates suggesting that we think about those who are very hard of hearing and how they may interact with the world. So like I said, these aren't particular in any particular order, but we loved the closed captioning that you showed us earlier, and that whether that's at work or in a community setting like we're all in right now that's more virtual, more of that would not be misplaced to be able to support communication in a way that's not just audio. And that also went on to, you know, for public transportation in particular, a lot of buses and trains do have some kind of LED screen or something that tells you where you are, even if you didn't hear the announcer. But even in the best of times, that's very hard to hear. So more visual clues again, and not to replace the audio, but to have both. We talked a little bit about access to hearing aids and the quality of hearing aids and how that could be improved upon. And then the idea of, you know, if someone is wearing glasses or has a cane, you have a bit of a sense of how you may choose to interact with them. And if hearing aids were fashionable and kind of like a cane, you know, they weren't something ugly. If we can make them stylish, then perhaps more people who needed them may choose to wear them. Or as you interact with someone like that, I'm very soft-spoken. I may think twice to raise my voice and be clear in how I'm speaking and how I'm communicating. I think we had an idea of using sign language more widely and teaching that young and making that just another way of how we communicate as a society.
If we all knew sign language right now, wearing masks wouldn't be as, you know, it'd be like, okay, so you know what? We're going to switch to sign language.
Yeah.
You know, it's great.
Yeah, reading lips these days is challenging.
Yeah.
And then we had ideas of, you know, those who are hard of hearing, or I have someone in my life who doesn't enjoy going to loud restaurants. And if that was, you know, one of those ratings or filter by on Yelp to say, you know, do you have a quiet space, or how many decibels do you have at this time of day?
Yeah.
That would go a long way for some people. If I missed anything, feel free to chime in, teammates.
It's great. Thank you. What about group 5?
Got Chris, Lisa, and Tasha in group 5.
Anybody from group 5?
Go. So basically, we talked a lot about phones. To have simpler phones, bigger touch areas, simplicity, so that you have just the essentials of, not like my phone is right now, where I have too many apps, but you know. And one of the ladies suggested that technology adjusts your screen settings based on how far you hold your phone away from your face. So it would get larger or smaller, you know, the right font size or whatever to see what it is, depending on how far away it was. We had, you know, so the phone isn't so heavy to hold. They're so big. And we had a voice-powered search tool, so that you would just say, hey, I need lawn mowing, or I need someone to, do this or that. And the search mode would come up with options that you could see an image with a description. And then to have an enhanced version of the emergency contact app, or emergency contact, so you will be able to push that button right away.
Ron?
Cool. Thank you. What about group 4, who went all in and did all the areas? Anybody from group 4?
Hey, yeah. So I don't know if any of my group members were there, so I just went ahead and started doing some stuff. But I don't know, I just wanted to think of a lot of different things. And I mean, like for instance, mobility, it's one of the things I know, we had my wife's father-in-law living with us, and he had a hard time getting out of bed, the beds sometimes. So, having furniture that adjusts so that whether you're getting out of bed or getting out of a chair or something like that. And then say with community, what's your physical aids? Yeah. Community, it's going back to what the group before was saying with public spaces being difficult for people who are hard of hearing. And so if we could, with building codes, start to incorporate more echo dampening materials in spaces rather than just all concrete, and whatnot. And hearing aids that help focus better on spoken voice, filter out all the noise, and living, less Allen wrenches, more snaps or something like that. Things that, especially with furniture from IKEA or furniture that, we get that we put together. And then with working screens with larger text, maybe something that, some kind of display that can move with you, that, adjusts, it just gives you information on the fly. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Group 3 also went in on the areas. Anyone from group 3 care to share a few of these?
Justices were fair and balanced. This is something that was unique for us. We've never seen this. We never saw this.
Is anybody there from group 3?
Yeah, we've got, I'll go left to right. Maybe there was a customizable features in cars, so you don't have to learn all the technology. Celebrating getting older, elderly awareness week. Let's see, being able to choose a network of personal support workers that you can easily access, kind of like an Uber or service like that. Let's see, an AI cross-generation slang translator if you're in the office. And
that
then
would be lit, as the kids like to say. Lit.
That's right. And then the last one, there was a liaison or consultant who can provide connected or inclusive services for seniors.
All right, cool. There's some cool stuff here. I like this ageism changing attitudes, protections, and benefits, 100%. All right, group 2. There's some cool automobile things here.
Yeah. If everybody's okay with group 2, I can.
Yeah, just
talk
go
if
ahead.
they don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did living and traveling. So as you age, kind of move on with life and travel out a little bit more, but sometimes mobility is a little bit of an issue. So we have what we thought about was a mobility scooter that's a little bit more stylish, a little bit that has some safety features like easy steering. We also have weather alerts. Obviously, a lot of times they don't come with canopies, so this will kind of give the person driving a little bit more heads up. First aid and medication. So that way they'll have first aid kit with them at all times. So that way, should something happen, they've got a little bit of an opportunity to help themselves. SOS dispatch, because obviously you don't want to be stranded out in the middle of a nice terrain out in one of the national parks, but run into some issues. So you got to have that. So life alert, here we come. So it allows the user to, kind of get off on a path and explore a little bit more, just because you're getting older and your mobility starts to go. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give up seeing your national parks. Might be the only time some can. So, that's what I hope to do in life. Battery powered, operated with a solar panel. So that way it doesn't have the carbon footprint's a little bit lower. Location sensing and navigation. Obviously that's going to be big for the national parks, since they're so big, so broad, with camera and video feed. So that'll be nice. You could definitely send that to somebody. Kind of like how Strava, you can kind of map where the person's going. So if they're in another state, you've got your safety backup. Airless tires, so that way you don't have to worry about getting a flat, because who wants to change a flat in the middle of bear country? Smart and stylish. You've got we've got some nice little options here to kind of show you, kind of where they're at right now. They still got a long way to go, but kind of have the ability of a gator, but have the stylish ability of some of the other scooters down below that have canopies and a little bit more enclosures, a little bit more comforts in life. So that way, you can get grandma and mom and dad out there, enjoy it with you.
Very cool. Thank you. All right, and group 1.
All right, so I'm the only one left because, well, 2 people somehow just don't have their microphone working. So we had 2 ideas. One of them is based on research that I think Atul Gawande conducted, and that would be kind of an AI system where you can upload your photos and videos from your past, obviously, and then with a VR headset, you could walk into different decades of your life, right? So you could have an experience of when you were in your 20s and see kind of the people around you based on the photos and videos and audio you uploaded, some when your 30s or when you had little babies, like kind of being able to go back in time. Because what research showed in what his study was describing is that when you are surrounded by these artifacts of the past, right, then it helps with Alzheimer and your brain functions better, and they even help them with their mobility issues. They felt more spry.
Nice. This is very cool.
That's one idea. That's the very ambitious one. The other one that is having an exoskeleton that would help us when we are older to move around better, do chores, climb stairs, maybe even go hiking.
Yeah, this is actually in the works. There are things they actually have a thing called the hollow suit, which can like help you move it. It can actually trigger things in your body. It's very, very interesting. So there's definitely some interesting stuff.
And then for being more connected to your family and community, we were thinking that there should be free Wi-Fi for beyond a certain age. And, you know, sound activated connected devices where you could just say, you know, Google or Alexa, you know, call my son or my grandson, and then you would just have a video conversation without a lot of extensive technology knowledge.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you all for like sharing your ideas. I think they're so cool. I do want to end with this quote from Don Norman, who says, "Do not think that thoughtful design is just for the elderly or the sick or the disabled. In the field of design, this is called inclusive design for a reason. It helps everyone." So I hope that one, you all learned something new today, and two, that you will go off and design something for your future self. Start today, start now. I am in the process of trying to figure out how to make augmented reality and virtual reality a little more accessible. So
Awesome.
yeah, so I hope that you all will go off and do your own things as well. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for participating and being here today. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you, Regine. It was a fantastic workshop. I really loved a way to be able to bring everyone together and focus on such an important topic and really open up our minds too. So thank you for your time this evening, and thank you everyone for your participation as well. I did want to make a quick announcement for our next meetup. Is going to be on January 12th, and we are going to have Sarah Stevens, who's a UX writer at Kroger. She is going to be presenting to us how to UX your writing. So she's going to cover UX writing, what it is and what it isn't, and some examples of what she says are her finest failures, and give some general tips that are applicable to anyone who's writing digital content. So we'll be posting more information soon on our meetup, Eventbrite, and LinkedIn. And thanks again for everyone, and thank you, Regine, for walking us through this, and thanks again to Adobe XD for bringing her to us this evening.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I wish you all happy holidays and stay safe and healthy.
And you have a book too, right? That we
Oh yeah, I do have a book.
Yeah. What's the name of
book?
it again?
It's Inclusive Design for a Digital World. It's available everywhere, Target, Barnes & Noble. And I also have a Skillshare. It's a 30-minute course on inclusive design as well. So
awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.